Welcome to the Digital Communications Multicast. My name is Anthony Prichard. I'm your host. Today, we're going to scrub a local SEO. We're going to scrub a local business for their SEO presence. And to help me do that, I've invited a guest onto the program. Help me welcome Ryan Levander.
Hey, Anthony. Hey, all who are watching. Happy Prime Day.
Thanks for coming on to the program. Really appreciate it. This is something you and I have been talking about for a while, and I'm glad we're finally getting it out there on the airwaves.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think a lot of businesses, they have so much going on, and marketing is always one of those things that gets put on the back burner, especially all the different channels. And so, trying to give local businesses here just one actionable thing you can take away from today's talk and go implement it right away.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, I'll get to it. It's
Right.
probably moving too fast for me to catch on to it right now anyways. I'm going to have some time in the future. I'll get to it.
Anthony, you know why I know local businesses do that? Because I do that with my own business, and I'm a marketer. So clearly, local businesses who aren't marketers, who don't have teams, also do that.
Right. Yeah. So give our viewers a quick summary of the steps that we're going to go through and how long this might take them if they're going to decide to watch this.
Yeah, and I'll take one step back and just introduce myself, even though Anthony already did. But my name is Ryan, have an agency, and Anthony and I work together quite a bit with elevated conversions, largely focusing on SEO and CRO, and it's sometimes PPC. We don't just focus on three-letter acronyms. I swear, there's more than that. But but largely, it's SEO. How do we get more organic traffic to sites, and then CRO, conversion rate optimization. How do we convert more of that traffic? And today we're going to focus on both the SEO and the CRO of this. And SEO is such a big deal for local is because I forget the stat, Anthony. Isn't it like 90% of people scroll past the ads?
Yeah, you're right. It's 80 to 90% of people don't trust the advertisements, and they believe that they're going to get a better experience by just going right down to the natural Google results. And that's where they start doing their research.
Yeah, I know I do. I mean, there's very few circumstances. Sometimes when I'm, maybe trying to actually look for an Amazon product, and nowadays I think I just go into the Amazon app, and so yeah, it's very rare where I'll actually click on an ad, and I trust Google. We all trust Google to varying levels, and so we trust their search algorithms doing a good job of showing us the best results. So that's the reality of it.
I mean, that is the algorithm. It's the law of attraction. I think people have been conditioned to believe that Google is going to give them the best results. And if Google didn't give them the most relevant results, then people would go somewhere else.
Wouldn't be Google. Absolutely.
That's right.
So SEO, so the trust vehicle to your website, obviously, you still have to work on SEO, and time is money. So it's not free. A lot of people will say, well, SEO can be free traffic. Over time, it becomes almost free traffic. It'll never be free because you had to put some sweat into it at some point. But over time, it gets really, really cheap because the best part about SEO is some content you really don't need to update every year. Every month or every year, even it just keeps coming. Whereas with ads, you have to keep paying for that. So that's a really good ROI for local businesses who can keep getting that local traffic month over month, year over year, as opposed to always having to pay for that. So we'll talk about the SEO side, and then we'll talk about the CRO side. I actually like to start with the CRO side, is because that is about as kind of bottom of the funnel as you can get, meaning people are really close to buying. You could maybe change one thing, one piece of copy on a button that maybe is confusing people, and that could equate to a lot more sales. So that's a little bit quicker than SEO for a return on your investment.
Yeah, and let me help flatten out that acronym for those of you that don't know what CRO means. It's conversion rate optimization, and what he means by that is that if you can speed up the experience or the transaction for the end user, you're going to increase your conversions. and that's a different form of optimization, but just as important, as Ryan has taught me, as SEO, because the traffic is really worthless. If you generate traffic from SEO, it's really worthless if they don't convert. And that's really how we're measured as marketers, not on the traffic that we throw to a website, because we're really not valuable if we send a bunch of homeless people to your website. I mean,
Right.
that's pointless. But
Anyone
if
can get traffic, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but if the traffic is actually buying from you, well, then we know we're matchmaking the right way. So we're going to go ahead and pick a business right now. The one I selected to offer up to this laboratory test is a unique little local business that deals with sleep apnea and snoring. For those of you that don't know what this is, it it's basically where your partner's snoring a lot and you can't sleep. So you say, you got to do something about this, or you got to sleep in a different bed. So the person that's snoring usually says, okay, I'll do something about it. And they type into the Google search engine, snoring and sleep apnea, right? And this local business is called sleepsilently.com. I had worked for them in the past, a few years ago, related to a dentist. So they actually put in an oral mouthpiece at night that prevents the snoring, and that is in replacement or as an alternative to the CPAP machine, which is a strap that you fasten to your face at night. So it's actually a better solution. It doesn't involve power. And Ryan is going to go ahead and share his screen and kind of go into the research that he does when he takes a look at what their current position is and what is the low-hanging fruit that we can get from going in there. So take it away, Ryan.
All right. Good background as well too, Anthony. Sometimes people, marketers, will just dive into a website without, context. And let's take a step back. What is this business trying to do? Who are they really trying to sell to? Because if you try and sell to everyone, I promise you, you will sell to no one. So it's really important to make sure you're not only being very specific in your ads, but once people click on ads or on SEO results, once they get to your site, you're still talking to that one person, that avatar that really is going to make them feel like these people aren't relevant and I am relevant. And that's conversion rate. It's part of conversion rate optimization. So can you see my screen all right?
Yep, there it is.
Awesome. Great. Well, this is the sleepsilently.com, and this is the homepage. So like I said, I want to start out with some CRO aspects of it, and then we'll go into SEO after that. Because again, this is if I was hired to work on their business from a marketing standpoint, they just said, we have this much money, we'll hire you, and or if money wasn't a factor, let's say, and just focus on marketing things. I would always start with CRO because it could prove the most ROI for them the quickest. In everyone, there's no such thing as a past tense of optimize. The website is there's always stuff to be worked on. There's never a past tense word of that. So there are clearly bigger things than smaller things, but every website could use help on this. I'm just going to go ahead and guess that a lot of their traffic is I would say the majority of their traffic, whether that's like 60-40 or 80-20, is probably mobile. That's typically the case with local websites. Obviously, I would look into their Google Analytics, and I encourage everyone to, if you don't already have Google Analytics installed, install it ASAP, because you can never go back and get that data you don't have. And you don't have to be a super wizard in Google Analytics. You just have to know, how to click around and look at some key reports. But it's really important to be able to know, are people on a desktop or are they on a mobile phone? Because website speed becomes really important if a lot of your users are on a phone, because not everyone is always on Wi-Fi. And that just becomes a lot more important to make sure your pages are loading fast. So
Convenience is king. And
yeah, 100%.
because everybody's carrying that convenient thing in their front pocket, it's pretty important, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And on the kind of the theme today is Amazon Prime Day. And
Oh yeah.
a quick side note of that, we said Happy Prime Day. I don't think we gave context to what am I talking about? Prime Day. It's Amazon Prime Day. It's the richest man in the world has Amazon Prime, and I definitely have a special a place in my heart for small businesses because one, I have a small business, and two, it's what makes things unique in supporting local, supporting where you live, right? So that's why we're giving free audits to businesses like this. So we'll go ahead and give this to Sleep Apnea or sleepsilently.com and just say, hey, you should implement some of these because this is what we do all day, every day. So if any of you want a free audit, feel free to reach out to us. But that's just kind of what we want to do is give back because Amazon Prime is going to keep getting more and more rich, and small businesses like this are just trying to make it through this crazy time we're in right now. So on that note, let's start by this. Again, this is their homepage. This is where probably most people start at, whether they're running ads, whether they're just Googling sleep apnea near me, and they end up here. They're probably going to be on their homepage. So I'm just going to quickly switch to a mobile view. And I typically liked to go into a responsive view just because everyone has different phone sizes. And this way I can quickly check sort of dynamically how this looks on different widths. I'll probably choose the iPhone X. I think this width is the most common, and it's the one I have too. But just some initial feelings I get when I'm looking at this. So we get the background video, and one more quick side note is all this information is or all these insights are meant to be as objective as possible, and I really try to stay away from this color doesn't make me feel good, things like that, because those are just opinions and that doesn't help conversions. These are all meant to be objective insights. So on that note, we have the video background, and I am a really big fan of not having a video on mobile because it can look weird like it does right now. We get like the video on the half of the hero image here at the bottom. And it doesn't help with site speed on mobile phones. So again, we kind of see this weird, it just, and I can't even see most of the video like I would not naturally see here. So I would recommend to just kill the video, just have a background image on a phone. It really can only hurt you is my point with that. So looking on the phone as well too, I'm just kind of looking at all the different CTAs. That's the first thing I like to look at. Like, what do you want me to do? What is there's a test in conversion rate optimization. It's called the 5-second test. You're shown a page for 5 seconds, and then you're taking it away. And they ask you, what would you have done if you had the chance to click? Or what is this business about? Like, what is their, do you know what they're about? Do you know what they want you to do? Things like that. So if I had this 5-second test, we've been looking at this for way over 5 seconds now, but I see sleep silently, and then I can learn more. Typically, you'd see a little bit more context beneath the heading, like a subhead, right? Maybe like, I'm a big fan of the words "now you can." It's just a kind of a copy thing, but like, "now you can sleep silently" would be a little bit more context to maybe I'm already sleeping silently. Why or not? I wouldn't be here for that reason. But who's going to sleep silently? Is me? How do I sleep silently? A little bit more context, I think, would be good besides just sleep silently. That's it's good choice if you can only use 2 words, but use more words because it's a little bit ambiguous. You immediately see them go into about us. This is what I call the fold here. So, we see a little bit more beneath the fold. I'm not against that, but typically that's why there is an about us page. And I think this is live. I only clicked one link before this, and this was the link I clicked before. Everything else is, you're seeing that as I see it right now for the first time. But I thought that was the case. So if I'm going to learn more and go to their about page, why do you have this right down here? You're basically having the same exact thing. So this feels repetitive, and typically you'd want to have more of like maybe a value proposition. Is a little bit too formal, but if like you're in an elevator with someone, you've got a minute to explain your business, what are you going to say? You probably wouldn't go into talking about yourself here. Like the business owner shouldn't talk about themselves. They should talk more about how they can help you, the customer, right? So she's here to help you. She's, kind of her credentials here. But it's not a super strong area. And again, it feels repetitive when this section here is what's going to be here. So make this a free offer. Make this actually something they probably want. Get our top 10 tips to, start sleeping more silently on your own. And then they realize, okay, that worked, but I'm, still not, my problem isn't totally solved. I'm going to give them a call up or something like that, but just to learn more to the about page isn't the strongest.
Yeah, I like that suggestion. It's called a trial contract, I think, or a sample engagement.
Yeah,
That free offer can be an automated email,
right,
in the form of 10 things to do before you seek, professional
or one thing,
sleep
right?
apnea. And
something simple,
right.
And the best way to find those is she's probably been doing this for a while now. I don't. It's probably somewhere in the copy somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure she gets like, hey, what's your most frequently asked question? Like either she will know, or her secretary will definitely know because she's talking on the phone all day to people. So this is where the marketer needs to listen to either the customers or the ask the business owner, what is your most frequently asked question? And that is, you could probably find this with doing some research in Google as well too. There may be, you look at competitors' sites and they may do a little bit better job of having what we call a lead magnet, which basically just means sign up for an email address to give them something free of value. This one thing you can do to start sleeping better on your own tomorrow. You might be able to find that on your own, but I bet if you talk to this doctor on the phone for 10 minutes, she would give you like 20 ideas and he'd be off and running. So
yeah, that'd be great.
So I'm going to go back to just desktop view because the phone is always hard to see a lot here. But I did want to point out that one more thing on the phone, actually. I did like the fact that they had the option to call. That's such an overlooked, and I always test to make sure it actually works. You'd be surprised the number of times this doesn't actually call the person. It would just be like here is our phone number, then type it in kind of thing. But it's a little bit cluttered. Typically you should have usually you have a chat, icon or something like that in the corner. Call is a lot more relevant for a small business, but don't have call, schedule, or this. It kind of gets me into this big form, and it's just like I'm not going to do this. I'm on a phone. I'm gonna, this is a this is a really in-depth form. Like, am I applying for a visa, or am I? So I would recommend any form like this to make it a lot more bite-sized and make it, if they really do have to ask that many questions, it looks like there's like 30 or 40, break it up, 10 per page at the very minimum, 5 per page, and or something like that. But the overall point, I think, is to like, okay, do you sell to people mostly on the phone? Do you sell mostly to people when they fill out a form? Or better said, what's your better conversion rate of the people that call you? Do you close more of those people? Of the people who fill out a form, are they people who aren't qualified, et cetera? Do you waste too much time on the phone? Maybe they don't want more phone calls. You just need to understand to know your really, really basic numbers. Do they get too many bot calls? They get too many forms of people who are unqualified, et cetera? And just whatever is working the best for you, have that one option. And you can have other options when they scroll down further, et cetera, but just have that one option for the person so that you're optimizing for one thing instead of offering them like 5 different things and they do nothing because I can't decide and they're probably going to leave. That's usually the case. Any initial thoughts, Anthony, on the above the fold experience?
Yeah, it seems like this local business may have been, building their website in a reactionary mode, if I can say that. You're right about um, suggesting different ways for viewers to be able to interact with their business. But I also see your point about having too many things can be too confusing. And, they may have put those up there because somebody said, well, I can't schedule, or I don't know where the questionnaire is, or, uh, you know,
Yeah.
you need a click to call button on your website. And now they've got all four of these things here, and it's not super clear what the best thing is for the viewer to do.
This immediately makes more sense when I'm on desktop now. Now I see, okay, that's a new patient form. It's still a very lengthy form, but at least I know that's a new patient form. And this is an existing patient form. Again, just get rid of those on mobile because most people aren't going to spend the time on mobile. They just want to call and set an appointment. Most people don't have that much time.
Yeah.
And maybe it will be easier for them to just ask this question on, have one button. So this way you have, because look how much space this takes up, right? My suggestion is to have two buttons, one to call, one for a form. And there's just one form button. And after you get to the form, ask them, are they new or existing customer? That way you're not like making them choose right here and you're taking up, half of the menu. It just looks a little bit weird. So, well, I think we've critiqued the above the fold enough. Let's actually get into the website a little bit more. I'm actually going to just go ahead and click the learn more because that's what they want me to do. It's above the fold. Obviously, we want to make sure that looks a little bit better when they're on like a normal. I have a really widescreen device here, but still, there are ways to make sure that it looks a little bit better. So both of these are probably stock images. This one clearly is. I get that feel, the glows, the model type look here, and I really like the photo of her on the homepage. Yeah, she's a good looking gal, and this is clearly her. I'm assuming, right? They're talking about her here. I don't know why I'm not looking at her here, and their whole team as well. I'm just confused at that. So.
Who we are, and there could easily be a picture of the crew there.
Yep. And they're almost blending two thoughts into the same, who we are, what we do. Welcome to, so this is like filler text here. Like, it's kind of like, welcome to my video. Just start talking about what you're going to talk about. You don't need to, and I'm not going to be like a copy anal about all this stuff here, but a lot of people do this where it's like, welcome to, just, this is, you don't need to say this, like, just talk about what you're helping people with. So yeah, I would love to see these doctors here. I see this doctor. There's a page where they show more meet the team. This is a much better page. Because we have videos here. I immediately get to start to know the team. Like, this should be absolutely where they send people. It's a true learn more. Like, I should be going here, right? This is a much better page.
Yeah, it gives the end user a better experience. Yeah.
Yeah, are these some of the videos that you made for them?
Yeah.
Take the audio off, but yeah, I get to see who I'm potentially, going to be doing, getting help with and doing business with. Like,
there she is.
Yeah, it's very like next level, and who else? Obviously, you can use these as marketing assets too, but who else is? You're getting to know the company before you're doing business with them. Obviously, that's a super smart idea, and taking it one step further, I mean, photos are always on the page, but video, you can actually get to know some of the people. So yeah, that should be where you send someone to. But even on the home, I would slant towards, like, most people are like, how much is it going to cost? And when can you see me? I mean, it's nice to know the people, but I think most people probably don't care. It's a whole lot. They do to some degree after you, yes, I can afford it. And yes, it fits with my schedule. Then it's like, okay, now it's time to, who do I want to see? Who's the best, etc.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of people want to know, um, let me just go ahead and sleep apnea. Let's click on their main page. So this would probably be their best SEO page.
Hmm.
It's got the sleep apnea title here. I'll quickly look just to see. It looks like we have one keyword. I'm just using another tool here that basically kind of checks on some SEO things. It looks like they're really not serious sleep is the keyword they rank for, but it's kind of way back there in the search results. Um, so that tells me we could do a lot more for SEO to have this page be a little bit more uh, thorough with talking about sleep apnea, educating the user on all of this. They have a nice graphic here. They need probably more of the graphics, your videos to better educate someone on like, I would first start out with like, what is sleep apnea? And
Hmm.
then, how we help you with our services in sleep apnea. And then maybe like finding out this is good. Like, do you suffer from sleep apnea? Maybe a test you could do. That'd be a really good lead magnet. Like, download our 3-step guide and figure out if you suffer from sleep apnea or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, it looks like that's really the only heading, and it's really important for SEO. And it's not super complicated to be able to figure out what you should add to this page. So I'm going to just go ahead and type in sleep apnea. And usually we get some related, like people also ask, and you see searches related to sleep apnea. I'm literally not even using any fancy SEO tools. I'm just using Google itself. And so we see types of sleep apnea. That would be a great thing to add because there are different types, right, of sleep apnea. It's not just everything is, there are different types of sleep apnea, symptoms, um, what causes it, what are devices. So these are all fair game to add to this. This could be really a hub of a content hub about sleep apnea. And they could have a little heading here, types of sleep apnea could be the second heading. Let's just say this said types of sleep apnea. They could have 3 to 4 paragraphs about it, and then they could link out to one of their blog posts that would say everything you need to know about sleep apnea. So this would cover a very high level aspect of sleep apnea, and then they could write a blog post and really talk about the in-depth article or the really talk about sleep apnea to the fullest extent. And that's how they would get a lot of traffic from SEO, is to educate people on sleep apnea and the different types of it. So this is really common for local businesses to sort of, hey, we have enough words to make a page live. It's better than not having a website kind of thing. It's not terrible by any means. Like, it's good information. It's a good graphic. But if the goal is to get people to be aware that you offer sleep apnea who don't know about you yet, then you need to make these. You need to really put some time into content and really think about SEO. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay for your traffic. You're going to have to, spend $3 a click on sleep apnea and send them here.
So now we're talking about SEO, right? We've moved from the conversion conversation over to how do we get more traffic generated
Yep.
to the website, and by optimizing this page to deliver a better end user experience, we're going to be attracting more traffic to this page, thereby attracting more traffic to the website.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I kind of jumped into SEO immediately when I saw this page, and I was just looking for. Remember, I said pricing. I was kind of curious, what might it cost, and so I sort of just naturally navigated to sleep apnea because that's the main focus here. And I saw this page and I thought this is probably would be a really good SEO page, and so I kind of went into the SEO side of it. So it's really all connected. If you can bring traffic into this page from SEO, like that's would be the main goal of this, or the main purpose of this page. It would be for SEO. to bring in traffic, and then obviously, hopefully, those people that are coming in from Google would call, would be a new patient intake form. It's nice that these are always in their menu, so they can always do that no matter what page they are on. However, I would say that having a contrasting color is just an objective CRO thing. I'm going to go to a different website that I just know because this is a competitor of one of my clients. So, Anthony, when you look at this menu, what do they want me to do? Zoom in a little bit. Can you see that well enough? Ooh, I can't hear you, Anthony, if you're talking.
Yep, sorry, I took myself off the broadcast. But yeah, the green, I think they want me to do the green thing. What does it say?
Yeah, it says Triocta. Yeah, why did you, I didn't tell you anything. You've never seen this before. Why did you
even read
why
the
did you
words.
say? Because it's green, right? It contrasts,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Conversion, like there's a lot of things in conversion rate optimization that like 5-year-olds can do. They just like, hey, this is different. Like this should be it, and that's the point. It's not green converts better than blue. That's not what it's about. It's about that stood out to me, and you can tell that is on a different sort of level than everything else. These are all what's called flat, right? They're all the same. So I can't tell which one is quote unquote better than the other ones or which one is different. They're all just the same. So I immediately have to decide, well, what should I do of these three? They're all the same to me visually. So if they want people to call them more, if they convert better, again, always going back to what works most 99% of the time, people sell best people to people on a phone conversation. So if they don't know, then just optimize for phone calls, because if you're not converting on phone calls, then that probably means you need to realistically and just get a new sales team if they're not closing on the phone, because that's, you want people on the phone. So I would make this a different color, just something that contrasts nicely. Just use a color wheel with your logo and choose something that contrasts that, just so it's not, you don't have to like just pick a random color. You can use a color wheel, and it's very much opposite from an actual UX user experience standpoint. Just make it easy, because I'm not a designer. I don't want to have to choose a color, so I use a color wheel. I upload a logo, and I say, okay, this color contrasts nicely. So that's on the conversion side, is to put something in the menu that stands out that you really want to optimize for.
Nice. Okay, so we've kind of covered CRO. We've gone over SEO, how to improve this page so that we get more traffic to it. What's some easy things somebody can do to try to improve their SEO on a page like this?
I think I would say an easy thing is to look what's ranking. It sounds kind of like, well, duh, but like just Google sleep apnea Denver is probably a keyword they would love to be on the rankings for. Because there's always like 20 different ways to do the same thing in SEO. What I would always do is Google, like, make sure you're looking for one of your competitors. Denver Health, I wouldn't say is a competitor. They're like a commercial sleep apnea provider. Look for more of like a Colorado sleep apnea. They're, I would say, probably a more fair competitor. So look at what they're doing. Google is already saying we're rewarding this page. They're ranking second for sleep apnea Denver, which, by the way, if you were to bid on this, it could cost you anywhere from $1 to $8. So that cost adds up quickly. It's a pretty good keyword that you would want to rank for. So look at what they're doing. You can see that on their page, they're doing just a pretty good job of having headings. So sleep apnea solutions, snoring. And this isn't a very in-depth page. They probably have quite a few pages like this, but it's not that complicated. Like these are the keywords that also were showing up. And those are the headings on the page. That's what the page is about. So it's really helpful to have headings for not only the keyword you're trying to rank for, but all these related keywords.
Well,
Remember,
I
just
think it'd be
using Google.
important for our viewers to know what like an ideal page would be for a keyword. So like the one you've got, sleep apnea Denver, I think that's what you typed in.
Yep, it's coloradosleepapnea.com. Yep.
This one ranked
Oh, yeah.
above the subject that we chose. They've got one photo, they've got like what, 700 words, but they've organized the words properly with the right titles and headings. So if our subject, sleepsilently.com, wanted to publish a page on their website that outranked this one, then they would probably, instead of 750 words, they would use 2,000 words. Instead of one photo, they might use a dozen. And instead of no videos, they might use 2 or 3. And then you'd have a page that would give the end user a much better experience, thereby telling or sending signals to Google that the page on that we had just created was a much better result than this page that we landed on. And so then we would show up higher in the search results. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Good way to kind of give a simple but very effective overview. If you could always write more, it's generally never going to hurt you. If you just are writing more for length, then it can kind of hurt you. But yeah, providing value to your customers. Obviously, Google is not just going to, oh, this is 2,000 words versus 8,000 words. The 8,000 wins. Obviously, it's got to be quality content, but most of the time it is, right? It's written really well, and you're covering a broad topic like sleep apnea.
Yeah.
I'll give one quick tip, because I was really curious what page ranked for sleep apnea for this Sleep Silently site we were on. So a really quick tip to be able to find out, well, hey, what page ranks for a certain keyword? Like I was kind of curious, okay, the site's about sleeping silently, sleep apnea, but what page would show up if we're talking about sleep apnea Denver? The way to do that is just to grab your domain. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, sleepsilently.com. And I'm simply going to go back to the search we did here, sleep apnea Denver. And I'm just going to add in a site : and just paste that domain. And then I'm just going to add a simple space, and that is it. What this is doing is it's only going to bring back results from this website. So I'm going to click enter. And this is the first result that comes back. That is the page that you should optimize for sleep apnea Denver. So sometimes you may need to say, this isn't going to work, we need to create a new page. But a lot of the times you don't really have to go reinvent the wheel. You just have to fix the existing page. And that can save you a lot of time. I would recommend that they would create a new page, because we got the homepage. Typically better to have a page based on they have some locations, office locations, but obviously that could be a little more built out. And that's where you start to rank for sleep apnea Littleton, sleep apnea Denver, etc.
Right. So you create that that first win by optimizing that page, and then, well, you got more work to do next month. So then you create one for those other outlying cities or municipalities in the area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any new SEO tools out there that local businesses can use to improve their understanding of SEO, or maybe their strategy?
Yeah, a good question on the tools. I do really like keywords everywhere. You guys might have seen these keywords on the side here. So let me just go back to, what's another keyword, Anthony, besides sleep apnea Denver they might want to rank for?
Alternatives to CPAP, or snoring, snoring partner or something that?
Let me do the alternatives to sleep apnea, since
Okay.
I saw that one pop up, and it's always a good hint if you see quite a few ads that it's more than likely a more competitive keyword.
Yeah.
So I'm going to scroll down. I see quite a few different things in the sidebar here, but I have this Chrome extension. It's called Keywords Everywhere, and it basically is, when you get those related keywords in Google, this does a lot better job of giving you more, and it gives you the monthly search volume here too. So you actually know, okay, is it searched 10 times a month or 1,000 times a month? And obviously, typically the more searched is more priority to work on.
Yeah.
But you immediately get these ideas for content to create or headings to add to a page.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see how that would help a business owner learn more about what they should do every month with their SEO effort.
Yep.
Now, when you compare SEO to paid advertising, do you have any numbers there on like the different benefits to like what typically would cost, I don't know, $100 in paid ads, might cost 150 at once, but then is
Hmm.
continuing to pay back over and over for 4 years on SEO. So it ends up being actually a tenth of the cost. It may look like it's more expensive up front, but it's actually a tenth of the cost when it's all averaged out.
Right. Yeah, because your ads are, at the time you're running them that month, how much do they cost you? And then it's it. I mean, if you don't run them the next month, you're not going to get
Nothing.
traffic, period.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a really good question. I don't have a specific answer with like metrics, but I have an analogy, which I usually have quite a few of those, but I think it relates pretty well with um, SEO. If you're doing it right, if you have the right implementer, this right strategist, the right team doing your SEO for you, or the right person, it's like compound interest from like a financial market. It gets
Hmm.
better over time.
Hmm.
So it grows. Not every single blog asset or resource page or whatever not every single piece of content is evergreen, meaning some pieces of content you're going to need to update usually every year. Usually it's not more than that unless you're in like a really competitive industry. Usually it's keep your stuff updated every year,
Hmm.
or maybe it's every 2 years, but it's usually not a big burdensome. You maybe have 10 pieces come January 1st. Sometimes people have in their titles, everything you need to know about sleep apnea in 2020. Well, come January, if you don't change that, your click-through rates are going to drop. So
Yeah.
typically, you update your stuff with the calendar year, but most of the stuff, if you do your kind of your keyword research right, you're not going to have to create new content every year. You're going to have this evergreen content because honestly, how often does sleep apnea change? Like, what is
Yeah.
it and how does it? You don't need to change that. Like those are the more broad searches where there are really a lot of searches per month.
Hmm.
So you could really pull in some serious traffic without having to ever change it from the onset.
Well, that was an excellent explanation, Ryan. Thanks for coming on and doing this live audit. I hope it was valuable for anybody that stayed on with us to see this through. Uh, I know that we're going to pick some more businesses to do this for on our broadcast. If you're somebody that's a local business that would like to see your digital footprint get scrubbed by Ryan and I encourage you to submit that at elevatedconversions.com. There's the website. If you want to learn more about either one of us, just type our names into the Google search engine. You'll see everything and more that you'd like to know about us. And and give us a like and a comment below so that this particular uh, content asset can be more relevant in the Google search engine. Any final words, Ryan, before we shut her down here?
No, I was a little worried when you said Google our names and see what comes up. I haven't done that in a long time, so I guess we'll be pleasantly surprised. But no, Thanks for having me on, Anthony. It's been fun to talk shop as always, and hopefully help at least one local business with Sleep Soundly, but hopefully more than one for sure. And yeah, if you guys have any questions at all, we do free audits. We're obviously here to help. It's the only way we sell is by helping people, and most of the time we'd end up just helping people, which is it's a lot of fun anyway. So
Yeah, that's what we
thank-
do.
thanks for the time, Anthony. Well, it's
You're welcome.
getting late here, so well, happy local business Prime Day, everyone.
Yeah, enjoy those Prime discounts.
All right.